Welcome back. Sorry I'm late, but let's get back into Daniel chapter 7, where we were talking about, studying about the little horn who is now behind the scenes ruling the planet Earth. And most people don't even know it. So let's take a look at Daniel chapter 7, where we left off. And we talked about, or should I say, Daniel talked about the saints being prevailed, how the little horn prevails against the saints. And we are seeing that. We have been brainwashed not only to not understand who the saints are. You see, prior to me reading this book, prior to me studying that book and finding, and this is the thing, I was in Christianity for all my life prior to maybe 12 years ago. And up until that time, I always, when I would pray, my picture of Jesus was white. And, those that are self-ignorant, willfully ignorant, who cannot be saved if you're willfully ignorant. Those that want the truth understand. Anybody that will say what the color doesn't matter, you're being willfully ignorant. Willfully ignorant. Because to have a white Jesus in my mind made me give credence psychologically to Caucasian people, to people of the children of Yefet. And that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. And the entire system is built for that to happen. Okay? That's why it matters. And anyone that says it doesn't matter, they're worshiping some other God, probably white Jesus. Okay? So anyway, but part of that brainwashing was a couple of areas of brainwashing. Number one, I would think of the saints as members of a Christian church. That's what I was brainwashed to believe. That when the Bible speaks of saints, it's talking about members of a Christian church. But as I studied the Bible indicates the saints are the children of Israel. And not, as Christianity also taught me, spiritual Israel. When the Bible talks about, for example, in Isaiah chapter 11, when the Bible talks in Isaiah chapter 11, and let's take a look at that. Isaiah chapter 11, for example, okay? Welcome back, everybody. Isaiah chapter 11, notice what it says, Isaiah chapter 11, and I'm going to begin at verse 10 and go down to verse 12. Isaiah chapter 11, verses 10, 11, and 12. Now watch what it says here in this prophecy from Isaiah, okay? And in that day, there shall be a root of Jesse. Now, Jesse is the father of David. So from the bloodline or the lineage of David, there's going to be a root that arises, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. So this root of Jesse, that also is David, is not David and Jesse. It's Messiah, who was from the tribe of Judah. So it's saying that Messiah is going to be an ensign or a sign that the Gentiles will seek after. Let's keep reading. Verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left. So now you have two groups here. You have a group of people that are going to see the sign of the Messiah and come to that sign. And then you have the Father saying, here, I'm going to set my hand a second time to recover the remnant of my people, which shall be left. So you have two groups of people. And he says the second time, like he did it already. Well, the first time we know he did it was when he gathered his people out of Egypt. Okay, that's the first time. The second time now he's doing it. Now, the first time he didn't go to Egypt to gather out Egyptians or Ethiopians. He came to take Israelites by blood out of Egypt. Okay. And he says in Deuteronomy, I take my country out of another country. Okay. So then he goes into detail. Where am I taking these people from? Where am I getting them from? Where did they go that I need to get them, recover them again? Is it back in Egypt? Notice what it said. I'm going to set my hand again the second time to recover the remnant of my people, which shall be left from Assyria. Assyria is a former Assyrian empire that was from Ashur, the Semite empire that land is now Iraq and Iran. That's that land. Okay, that Nimrod, the Hamite, said his land. I'm going to cover them from there. I'm going to recover them from Egypt, which we know is in Africa, from Pathros, which is also Africa, and from Cush, which is also Africa, and from Elam, which was also the northern part of what we call the Middle East, and from Shinar, which is still over there where Ashur is, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. So I'm going to recover my people from these areas which they were scattered into. And he shall set up an ensign. He uses that word again the second time. Ensign, that is a sign. That is the same sign, Messiah. I'm going to set up an ensign for the nations, that is the Gentiles, and shall assemble from the Gentiles the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So he's saying here, you have a group of Gentiles that are going to see the sign of the Messiah, but those are not his people. My people, I'm going to cover the second time, and they were dispersed, and they're going to see the sign of the Messiah, and I'm going to gather them, and they're from Judah and Israel. So now you have a differentiation. There's no spiritual Israel. You can see here, this is a literal bloodline people like he did the first time. Let's get a second witness in Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel 36. Let's get a second witness. And beginning at verse 17, and let's go to verse 19, 17 to 19. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, that is the bloodline, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured out my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries according to their way, according to their doings I judged them. So again, this is the bloodline scattered, and he's telling you why they were scattered. This is not spiritual Israel. This is the bloodline scattered. Okay? And now let's go down to verse 24. Let's read from verse 24 down to verse 28. For I will take you from among the heathen, the bloodline, and gather you from all the countries, and will bring you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. Bloodline. And a new heart also will I give you. A new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, that is your forefathers, bloodline. And ye shall be my people, and I will be your God. So now I started to understand that the saints ain't no members of no Christian church. The saints are the bloodline of Israel with those Gentiles that see the sign of the Messiah. That is the same Messiah of the people being recovered. And white Jesus ain't him. So when we're reading Daniel, and I could give you, a lot of more witnesses, there's 40 witnesses. I can give you a lot of more witnesses to what we're talking about here. Joel is another one. Jeremiah is another one. Zephaniah is another one. Zechariah is another one. I can give you a lot of more witnesses. Moses, of course. I can give you a lot more witnesses, but you get the point. So here in Daniel chapter 7, when it talks about the saints of the Most High, I used to think being members of the SDA church made me the saints. But then now I understand, no, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about what happened to the bloodline. And then we already read in Ezekiel that the bloodline was scattered because of how we polluted the land. And we know from Deuteronomy and other places, we were scattered into slavery. So now the saints that the little horn is attacking is not only the bloodline. No, you got Gentiles too, because it said it. But it's primarily the bloodline. And then you also have saints of the Gentiles who are also grafted into the tree of Israel. Okay? And some of them even in ignorance. Like I believe the people that were from the failed Reformation, and I call it what it is, a failed Reformation. Why do I say it's a failed Reformation? Well, you must understand, first of all, why it was called the Reformation. Why was it called Reformation? And why were the people that were part of it called Protestants? They were called Protestants because they were protesting against the Roman Catholic Church. And why was it called the Reformation? Because the aim of the movement was to reform the Roman Catholic Church. So I say to you today, have they been successful in reforming the Roman Catholic Church? Did the Roman Catholic Church take heed to their protests and say, okay, we're going to reform based on what you're telling us? Did that happen? No, it did not happen. Therefore, it's a failed Reformation. It was failure. Okay, it was not prosperous. Okay, it was a failed Reformation. So for that, I call, but even people from the failed Reformation with the little bit of light that they knew stuck to that truth and would die at the stake, would die of torture, would die in basements of Roman Catholic churches for what they believed and knew to be true based on their conviction. And I believe there's going to be a lot of those people that rise up in the first resurrection with the saints. Okay, with the saints. Praise the Most High. In that 1,000 years, they're going to be learning the things they didn't get a chance to learn when they were in darkness with the Gentiles. That's why he says in the fourth church of Thyatira in Revelation, it says, I will lay upon you no other burden. That which you have, hold fast. I will lay upon you no other burden, because you have not known the depths of Satan as he speaks. That's what he said. So there's people that are among the Gentiles that just didn't know any better, and their conscience was clear in that they were following truth as they knew truth. Praise the Most High Father for his mercy and grace, in that he will remember people no matter where they come from, as long as they are following truth as they are revealed, as truth is revealed to them. Now, those of us that are of the bloodline are being revealed light that would blind those people. It would completely blind them, the light that we're being shown now, right? It would completely blind them. Because it is so bright, it is so deep, it is so powerful. But that's why we are here in the last days. And that's where we are. The last days of Babylon's history, the last days of this age of Earth's history. This time, this age, the earth is going to last forever, the Bible said. So the time and age in which we are living upon the earth will pass, and it will pass forever, and it won't come back. There'll be no more Babylon. There'll be no more a rebellion against the Father Yah and his covenant. There'll be no more different people worshiping different gods. It will not continue. So this age is going to come to an end, and it will come to an end forever. Even as Daniel said, forever, even forever and ever. But back to Daniel 7, speaking to that, that's when I'm looking now, I'm saying, well, now I'm starting to understand who the saints are. As I said, 12 years ago, as I started awakening, as the Most High started awakening me to the present truth, I just thought, saints were everybody that was a member of the church. But now I understand. Church is nation. Church, the ecclesia, the called out assembly, is the nation of Israel. That's the church. And in the New Testament, it calls it the church. In the Old Testament, they have multiple words for it. They call it the congregation. And then, of course, there was the tabernacle of the congregation. And David said, I'm going to praise your name in the midst of the congregation. Same situation. Okay. And then they talk about Israel and tribes coming up to Israel, to Jerusalem. That's the church, brethren. That's the church. And in fact, we know Stephen, before he was murdered, called it the church in the wilderness. The called out assembly. They called out from Egypt. And now the Bible just showed us they're going to be called out again. Called out again. Now, when Messiah was here, there was a call made. And in fact, let's take a look at that before we get back into Daniel in the Gospel of John. The Gospel of John. For chapter 11, after the resurrection of Lazarus, in the Gospel of John, chapter 11, where Caiaphas, the high priest, who shared the high priestly duties politically with his father-in-law because they had left the Most High already. But in Gospel of John, chapter 11, going to start at verse 47 and go down to verse 52. Gospel of John, chapter 11, from verse 47 to verse 52. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees at council and said, what do we? For this man doth many miracles. So they weren't understanding. They didn't care that he rose somebody from the dead, that he raised somebody up that in front of witnesses had been dead 4 days. They didn't care about that. What they were worried about was their power and control. Brethren, things have not changed. In fact, they've gotten worse. Let's take a look. Let's just continue. One of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, ye know nothing at all. Wait, let me go back a second. Verse 48. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation. Now watch this, verse 52. And not that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one all the children of Yah that were scattered abroad. He should gather together in one all of Yah's children who were scattered abroad. See that? So from even then, we were being scattered. We were already, as we know, Simon came from Cyrene, which is North Africa today. Simon came from Cyrene. Why was he there? For the Passover. Why would he be there for the Passover? Because he was a Hebrew coming back home to worship. Okay? So he was there, and all the Hebrews that were scattered, and there were Hebrews scattered abroad in different places for many centuries already. Okay, by that time. And they were called, what were they called? They were called Grecians, but they really were Hellenists, because they were bloodline Hebrews living among Gentiles and living like Gentiles. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? For the Most High is bringing his people back, and we are the saints that the Bible is talking about. And the proof is obviously in how we have been handled and treated over the last multiple centuries. Obviously, we fulfill the Bible prophecy for the scattering and the attack upon the saints like no other people. I was looking at something yesterday, and I half laughed and it was half angry. That recently another shooter came. This one was Alphabet Soup, and he came to a Christian school that he had been raised in Tennessee, apparently, and shot up a lot of kids. And somebody used that to say, "See, this is how Christians are being persecuted." And I about laughed. I was like, "You got to be kidding me! You really got to be kidding me!" This is how and you had all of these children of the effect preachers. See, we're being persecuted because we stand up against the Alphabet Soup. Tell that to all them brothers swinging from trees with their privates cut off. Tell that to all the brothers and sisters that was tossed overboard on them slave ships. Tell that to them Haitians that eat every other day because that's all they can get food for. See what I'm saying? It's amazing. But brethren, that's going to be the theme. Get ready. That's the theme. Christians under persecution. Trump is representing the Christians under persecution. Get ready. Daniel chapter 7. Okay, verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Verse 24. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So again, the number 10 is used to represent the 10 kingdoms that make up the Babylonian system. Now, if you look at the UN, you'll see G7, you'll see G8, you'll see G10, you'll see G20. But why do we focus on 10? Because the Bible is telling us it's 10. Okay? You understand? So in the G20, you got all kinds. You got India in the G20, Brazil's in the G20, but not in the G10. In the G10, you have the 10 tribes of the children of Yefet. Okay? 10 tribes of the children of Yefet. Okay. So now, verse 25, this little horn. And he shall speak great words against the Most High. So again, let's just make sure we're clear here. When we're talking about the little horn, we are talking about the origin of the religion called Christianity. Christianity is a religion. Do you understand what I just said? Christianity is a religion. The Messiah did not come to the earth to start a new religious system. Christians would want you to believe that because that justifies their existence. And that's a profound statement. Because in order to make people believe they're the truth, they have to justify their reason for being. And what do? They tell you that Jesus came and gave us Christianity and the Old Testament is done away with. So all we need now is the New Testament and the love of Jesus. And that tries to justify the existence of a false religion, a man-made religion, one that the Bible never talked about, one that Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, nobody talked about none of that. And the Messiah did not come here to establish a Christian institution or religion. In fact, okay, so there was no Christian church established in the Bible. Neither was there a church that practiced a religion called Judaism. And let's think about this on just a basic level for a second. Judaism, which uses the word Judah in it. Huden is what they say in Europe. So the Huden are tribe of Judah, but they claim that Abraham is the founder of Judaism. How could Abraham found a religion, which he did not, of his grandchildren, or in this case, actually, his great-grandchildren? Because you had Isaac, then you had Jacob, and then Jacob had Judah. So they create a religion from Abraham of a great-grandchild that didn't exist. Does that make any sense to you? Y'all following me? There is no Judaism institutional religion in the Bible. It does not exist. And the fact that they use Abraham as the founder of it shows you it's false. Abraham never created any religion. Abraham's beliefs came from his bloodline, Eber. He was called Abraham the Hebrew. Eber got it from his father and got it from his father, which is Shem. Shem got it from his father, which is Noah, and it goes all the way back to Adam. There was no Judaism. Okay? And according to the Bible, in Amos, in the Psalms, and in other places, in Deuteronomy, the father say, I ain't show myself to nobody but the children of Jacob. Nobody but the children of Jacob. Therefore, all of the prophets of the Bible, from Daniel, Jeremiah, Moses, all of them are children of Jacob. Luke, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, Peter, James, they're all children of Jacob. Therefore, there is no prophet in the Bible outside of that limited area of the children of Jacob. There's no Chinese prophet. There is no Japanese prophet. There is no Arab prophet. Though the Arabs are Semites, there's no prophet arising from them according to the Bible. Therefore, any religion that claims an Arab prophet is false according to the Bible. Because there are no Arab prophets in the Bible. There is no Ishmaelite prophet in the Bible. Ishmael was not a prophet. Ishmael was a Semite. Ishmael was also a Hebrew. But Ishmael was not a Hebrew Israelite. Because Ishmael was Isaac's brother. He did not come from Jacob. Only the children of Jacob are what are used to write this book. Are y'all follow me? Y'all understand why I say these other places are just man-made religions and there's only one true people? According to this book now. Now, if you're reading some other book, if you're reading the Quran, you're going to get another belief. Okay. But if you're going to read this, you cannot believe this book and believe the Quran at the same time. You cannot. And I'm going to admit, I've never read the Quran, but I can tell you what, if it said what this book said, that there's only Hebrew Israelite prophets, then the Quran by logic wouldn't exist, because everybody that follows Islam believes that the Arab man, Muhammad, was a prophet. Well, if you're going to believe that, then you can't believe this book. Somebody's got to be wrong. You can't have it both ways. Somebody's got to be wrong. And so that is why we say, if you're going to follow the Bible, there is no other book, because it tells you itself about itself that there's no other book. It tells you about itself. I have chosen no other people but you who are brought out of Egypt. I have shown myself to nobody else, Psalm 147, but the children of Jacob. I've chosen you, and only you, Moses says, above all the families of the earth. Only you. So if the Bible is telling us that, I came not, said Messiah, but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And then Paul said, you Gentiles are grafted in by faith from a wild olive tree. These are the natural branches. If he could break off the natural branches, take heed, because you're not even a natural branch. He could break you off too. So you got all kinds of witnesses telling you who the true people are, and telling you why they are, and telling you their struggles as slaves because of their disobedience as slaves. So you want to know who the true Hebrews are? Find the ones that were slaves. Slaves for centuries. Okay? And looked like ancient Egyptians with woolly hair. And were on slave ships. And had chains around their neck. Find them. Then you'll find who the true Hebrews are. Okay? That's them. So all of this white Jesus people talking about we're being persecuted, it's a joke. It really is a joke. I'm sorry for the kids that got killed in Tennessee by their cousin, but it's a joke. Daniel chapter 7. And he shall, verse 25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a times and times and the dividing of time. So they say they shall be given in his hands until. That means the times, and dividing of time is the time in which, no pun intended, that we are freed from his yoke. Now, people use the 1260-year period between 508 AD and 1798 or 538 AD until 1798 AD as that 1260 years. Okay, go ahead and do that. But you should understand, this is not based on the movements of Gentiles. This is based on the movements of the saints. And we just spent a whole bunch of time telling you who the saints were. So what is this 3.5 years? Brethren, it's coming up. It's coming up real soon. I believe it starts in 2027. That's the same 3.5 years that Revelation says the two witnesses clothed in sackcloth bear testimony. And the beast that comes up out of the bottomless pit, which is the same seven-headed, 10-horned beast, same one. And we know what that's about. The whole Babylonian system, it's led by the UN. The same one attacks them and kills them. And they rise 3.5 days later. Messiah did that too. He rose 3.5 days later. He was crucified in the middle of a week, Wednesday, 3.5 days into the week, and he rose 3.5 days later on Saturday night, 3 a.m., Sunday morning. And two witnesses, same thing. They testified 3.5 days, clothed in sackcloth, 1,260 days, it said, 3.5, it's 42 months, use all kind of time to tell you. And then 3.5, then it said 3.5 days later, they were resurrected again, just like Messiah. Brethren, it's coming. See? And he said, they shall be given into his hand until times in divided with time. Until. And then it said earlier, judgment given to the saints of the Most High. Brethren, on the Day of Atonement, every year, as you know, on the 7th month, the 10th day of the month, Israel had all sin wiped away. Y'all know that. We studied that. It's called the Day of Atonement. Every year, in the Hebrew year, on the 7th month, in the 10th day of the month, all sin was taken off Israel as they confessed their sin to the Most High and repented of their sin. The trumpets were blown on the first day of that month to let them know what was coming. And then in the 10th day of that month, the Most High had his high priest walk in there with blood and they was cleansed. But every 50th year, it was more than that. On the same day, every 50th year, all sin was not only forgiven, all land was restored to their original owners. It was the Jubilee. And 2027 represents the 40th Jubilee from when Messiah made a Jubilee announcement in AD 27. The 40th one, 2,000 years later, 2027. It's coming. Okay? And unless you understand the meaning of the feast, you won't get it. And that's okay, because it's not for everybody. That's why people that practice Judaism will tell you it's a new year on the 10th of the 7th month. Isn't that what they say? They call it Rosh Hashanah, New Year. How you have a new year? Is the year only 7 months old? Is the year 7 months? What the Most High says the 7th month, isn't that right? So wait, my understanding is a year has 12 months. Isn't that correct? If a year has 12 months, how are you going to say the 7th month is a new year? According to the word of the Most High. That make any sense to y'all? You see why we don't follow Ashkenazis in Judaism? We got to follow the word. Don't listen to them. Don't look at them. We are the teachers. They're not the teachers. See, they want to make themselves the teachers to brainwash us, or should I say, keep us brainwashed. But nah, that game is over. That game is over now. We are awakening to who we are. We are the true Hebrews. Father Yah is our teacher through Messiah. So we don't need them to tell us what the new year is in the 7th month. The Bible tells us every 50th year in the 7th month, in the 10th day of the month is a day of atonement. And that's the official last feast of the year, but that's not the end of the year. The end of the year actually has a feast that the Most High did not give to the children of Israel. You'll know what that is. It's Purim, the feast of Purim. Purim is what came about in Esther as a result of the deliverance of the children of Israel. So they celebrated that with the feast of Purim, but it's not the feast that the Father gave us. We told the Father gave us 3 feasts, and the last of them is in the 7th month, the Feast of Tabernacles. The Day of Atonement is not a feast. It's the day of removal of sin. And then we celebrate. Okay? So the 10th day of the 7th month is not the end of the year. Neither is the first day of the 7th month a feast of trumpets. There's no feast of trumpets. It's a holy convocation because trumpets are used in the Bible for a warning. They're given as a warning. What is the warning? The 10th day is coming. That's the warning. Get ready. Get yourself spiritually ready. Didn't Moses tell the children of Israel to get ready before they met the Most High who came on Mount Sinai? He said, wash your clothes. Don't come at your wives. Get yourself ready to meet your father. Didn't he say that? So there's always a warning. And what did they first hear? Trumpets. Look at that. Exodus chapter 19. They heard trumpet because it's a warning. Always. So the first day of the 7th month, which they call Feast of Trumpets, whenever I hear somebody say Feast of Trumpets, I was like, there's no feast on the first month. It's a warning to get ready for the 10th day, where your sin's going to be taken away. And that's not the end of the year. That's the 7th month. Okay? Praise the Most High. You know what it's going to be, though? It's going to be the end of this age in the 15th day of the 7th month, which is going to come 5 years after 2027. That we know. Okay? All right. Do Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. Until a times and dividing a time. Time is 1 year, times is 2 years, dividing a time half a year. 3.5 years, 42 months, 360 days. It's coming. Verse 26. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven, that is the whole heaven, the whole earth under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Yes, he was shown some stuff, wasn't he? Now, he was shown that his people were going to rule at the end, but he was shown a lot that was going to happen between that point and the end. This was in the first year of Belshazzar. Then he's going to be, as we look at chapter 8, 2 years later, in the 3rd year of Belshazzar, he's shown some other stuff that's going to make him sick. See, this, you remember, he said, what did he say here? He's in Daniel chapter 7. He said, Daniel, verse 15, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. Because he understands that his people are the chosen people, but he's also seeing all of these Gentiles ruling. He's seeing this little horn persecuting the saints. He's seeing this little horn subdue the whole earth, and is making him sick. Just like it makes us sick, does it not? When we see the child pornography going on all over the earth, the sex slavery going on all over the earth, the political corruption going on all over the earth, when we see the rulership of the United Nations and what does it do to the earth, and the debt they put nations in, and the situations they put people in, so that you have people in Haiti struggling to survive, and not just Haiti, all over the earth. While others sit in the lap of luxury because they know how to dunk a basketball. That makes sense? That's how this earth is, though. See, that's why Daniel was sick, and it makes us sick when we see it. And falsehoods are being propagated, and the television is used as a medium of brainwashing, and religion's used as a medium of brainwashing. You got prosperity gospels and white Jesus gospels, and you got all kind of foolishness and people killing people because they said something against an Arab prophet, therefore you must get stabbed to death. I mean, this is getting crazy, though. It's getting crazy out here. And it's going to get crazier. But we know it's making all of us sick. It's okay, though. It's okay. Yep, children and babies ruling over us. Exactly. It's okay though. As we know, it's almost over. Brethren, let me tell you something, man. 10 years, 9 years, it goes by fast, man. It goes by real fast. If you are any type of adult, then you understand. Children may not get it because children, are children. But when you're an adult, time flies by. And the older you get, the more it seems that it flies by fast, doesn't it? And so, brethren, it's coming. And somebody tried to argue me to 60 seconds is still 60 seconds. You could be stupid if you want to. Go ahead, be stupid. I'm telling you, 60 seconds ain't 60 seconds. The time is flying. The Most High is making it so. He's bringing this thing to a close, and he's bringing it to a close fast. At the speed of light, it's happening. Okay, right in front of us. So fast, people can't pay attention to it. That's why we say, read your Bible. It's the only thing to keep you grounded and keep you understanding what's happening so that you don't go crazy like the rest of the folks. You understand? He's going to keep you. That's why he said, I'm keeping you. I'm going to bless you and keep you. Cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. That's what we want from him. Okay? And that's what he do for us when we follow him. The awakening of the Hebrew people is a blessing to the earth. To those that love truth, it's a blessing. To those that don't love truth, that have other agendas, whether it's power or money or whatever, it's not a blessing. But for those that love truth, the true Hebrew people's awakening is light that's coming into the earth from the Father of creation. And he is bringing that light, and those of us that love truth are going to rejoice in that light. Praise the Most High. Well, we're going to start chapter 8 on next Shabbat. I don't want to start it today because it's going to be heavy. Chapter 8 is heavy. When I say heavy, there's a lot to it. And again, we'll be relying a lot on Revelation when we go to Daniel chapter 8. We'll be relying a lot on the book of Revelation, along with what we already studied in Daniel. Because if you're looking at the kingdoms, the succession of kingdoms, it makes it very plain in Daniel chapter 8. But there's some other things we need to look at. Okay, so we'll definitely study that starting next Friday. Read ahead if you want. Read ahead. Look in Revelation. Look in Daniel. Start getting ahead of it and seeing what you see there from Daniel chapter 2, 7, and then take all that you learn and look at Daniel 8. Okay, take all that you learn and look at Daniel 8 and see what you come up with. Study it. Okay, go ahead, study it, and let's see what happens. We'll come back Friday and we'll look at it. In the meantime, may the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, family.